AI is changing the game in real estate, but can it really replace a realtor? Spoiler alert, probably not.
Live behind decisions I chose. Peaks feel good and the valleys get low. Chains for the tires in the rain, hail, snows. Like this everywhere that I go, everywhere that I go.
Hey everybody, it's Hussein Kabani, your favorite broker, and I have seen a ton of articles out there right now that's saying how AI is going to replace a ton of different jobs, which got me thinking, hey, can it actually replace my job as being a real estate agent? And there's several reasons what I've come up with as to why it cannot replace me as a realtor, and this is what I'm going to share with you. Here's a couple of things that I would say AI cannot replace a realtor for. One of the things is that having intuition and negotiating skills. Like, I'm able to go into a property where we've done it before, where you show a property to a client and you go through the closets and stuff and you realize that all the guy's clothing is not there. So there's no male clothing in the whole house, but yet on title, you see a male and a female. Kind of starts to give me an indication that maybe there was a bit of a breakdown over there. So my intuition kicks in and saying, hey, like, you know, how quickly do they need to move this property? It seems like someone's already moved out of it. How much longer can they actually float this thing? Are they going to be a little bit more motivated to end up selling it? Also, when we go through a property, we see a lot of like maybe hoarder, right? Like you see a lot of stuff piled up and whatnot. Now I'm starting to think, hey, you know, is this an estate sale where these people are going to probably want to just kind of cash in on the property and move it along, and maybe they're not overly concerned about getting the full market value, especially in a slower market. Maybe they are going to be a little bit more motivated. So there are things like this that I think that we could pick up on that can actually help negotiate the transaction a little bit better. And that's where I think AI is a little bit weaker, and maybe it will improve in the future. But at this point right now, I don't think it has a feeling and be able to kind of walk through a property and tell you that, hey, these are the hints that I'm kind of picking up on. Also, along with that line is like, if you start to see a property in disrepair, like, I mean, that could also suggest something that, hey, maybe they don't have the payments to keep up with, like the money to keep up with this property, or they might be a little bit more desperate, or maybe they had a tenant in here that kind of like, you know, caused them harm, and they might be a little bit more motivated to kind of sell this property. So there are different things that you can kind of pick up on at the same time. And it could work the opposite way as well. Like, you know, if they've done a really, really nice renovation to the property and they've added higher end features to this, and it doesn't kind of meet the market comparable because they have all these extra features in it, all these higher end features, maybe a certain demographic, but you have to also understand where the value is. So I think that, you know, me going in and looking at this and saying, wow, like, you know, they've actually used a better quality of flooring, or, you know, they have nicer light fixtures, or wherever it may be. These are things that we could kind of pick up on, and it kind of gives us an idea of what the quality of the property actually is too, not just looking at it at a high level. Another thing also I would say is that it doesn't have like emotional intelligence when it comes down to it. Like, in terms of like suggesting the right property for somebody could walk in and say, hey, this is the right property, but you can actually look at their whole family situation and whatnot. As you get to build a relationship and understand them, I might actually have a better suggestion for them. They might be looking at everything and looking at it and saying, hey, this actually works perfectly, but I might be able to introduce a new fact to them and basically saying, hey, like, you know, you guys have one kid right now, but like, I think that you guys were talking about having another kid. Or it could be something like, and this is what we're seeing a little bit more of right now, I don't really recommend it, but generational housing, right? Like, you might have a parent that is kind of like, you're thinking about bringing a parent in, and then we could be looking at the property and be like, hey, this meets your needs right now, but you were saying that 3 to 5 years from now, you might have a parent move in with you, and how's that going to actually work? So about actually not just evaluating what the property is right now, but what your goal is, why you're trying to make this transition, and how is this going to work for you in the future at the same time. So it becomes a little bit more strategic like this, whereas just getting a one of answer, we're kind of actually forecasting it out and saying, hey, does this actually make sense for you in the long run? Because at the end of the day, you don't want to keep moving around for your personal real estate. It's great for people like me in the business because that's how our business generates revenue, but it may not be the best thing for you because the transaction cost, as I tell people, is, you know, quite expensive when you add in all the factors with land transfer tax, realtor commissions, lawyer fees, and whatnot. Another thing also is that there could be legal complexities to a contract. Yes, there are great AI programs out there that could generate an amazing legal contract for you. I have leveraged those type of things for myself. Like, I have a commercial unit in Pickering, and I didn't want to use a standard form, and I want to be a little bit more specific about what I'm doing, but I have an idea of what I'm trying to feed it as well, and I have used the legal contracts from there. But there could be other factors of this whole thing, like maybe you have a septic and you're buying in more of a rural property, so you have a septic, you have a well. Like, is that going to include the clauses in there to make sure that it has a septic inspection? We have a water quality test. Is it actually going to realize that? And even thinking about that is like actually physically viewing the property. If you notice that the backyard, and sometimes we've noticed this, has actually the slope coming towards the house, like, is your drainage going to be correct at the same time? You know, is the grading, everything looking okay? Or based on the way that it has been, can we kind of preemptively say that, hey, this could have a problem? There was a house that we were looking at in Pickering, and it seems like somebody has actually cut a basement window out bigger than it probably should have been. We could see the bricks on the side. The cut job is like awful, awful, awful. And at the bottom, there's a huge gap. And guess what? We just got 25, 30 centimeters of snow. The window well is sitting over here. The crack is down here. What do you think happened when that 30 centimeters of snow went in? I told my client right away, I said, like, where do you think all this snow is melting? Where's this water actually going? Well, it's going behind the wall. Do we have a chance of being mold there? Is there moisture back there? How is this going to be, you know, fixed? My goal with this stuff, even when I'm doing these showings, is that to try to pick out some of these issues before we even get to a home inspection, right? I don't want you to spend your money on a home inspection and basically decide not to move forward with that property where it's something I could have actually pointed out to you. There was another house where we saw a listing and it basically said the stove is just not plugged in. Well, guess what? Bucker and I took the stove and we moved the stove out of the way. It's plugged in. Okay, where's it? What's happening here? So we actually found the wire. The worst thing, like not even a professional electrician did it, because if you know about, like, you know, running a wire properly, you would have the wire running through a joist or whatever, and there will be a metal clamp that you put in. These guys they use string, and they attached it to all the tops, and it's just so sloppy. At least we can point these things out. Our client decided not to move forward with this house after we told them a couple of the things that we were looking at, save themselves $500, $600, $700 on a home inspection, and just like, this is not the house for us, because it tells you a little bit more about it. If this was done like this, what else is probably not done correctly that's behind the walls that we won't get to until we see a home inspector? That's another thing that we can actually look at this, we can negotiate based on what the condition of the property actually is. The other thing also is that to have tough conversations with people, okay? AI cannot have that conversation with somebody. We run into this a lot of times, whereas someone thinks that their house is worth $1.3 million when it's really worth $1.1 million. So having that tough conversation and actually showing them and taking into account their feelings, because obviously they came up with that 1.3 number somehow, but to be gentle with them and emotionally connect with them and explain to them in a nice manner that, hey, I understand that this is where you feel that your property should be worth, but based on X, Y, and Z, this is the differences between it. So you can kind of read somebody and you don't have to hurt their feelings. You can explain to them in a better way. Because if it just jams out a number and says this is what it is, I don't think people really take that well to it when it is their largest asset that they're dealing with. So I don't see AI kind of replacing the realtor. And I'll even add this, like, I have some very, very well-educated, smart people as clients, and I'm so lucky that I have these people. But at the end of the day, when they're buying a $2 million property, they want Kabani on their side to basically walk through the property with them and assure them that, hey, I don't see anything wrong with this. I think you are making the right decision over here. They want someone to hold their hand and walk them to the finish line. They want that added confidence, because when you're spending $1 million, $2 million, $3 million on a property, this is not something that you do every day, likely, right? It's something that I do every single day, and I can honestly give you my advice and tell you that I think it's a good move or a bad move, and gives you that confidence of actually making that investment. Now, there are cool things, I think, with AI that is actually helping within the real estate business for sure. And I would be lying to you if I told you we didn't implement any of these things. There's a lot of stuff that it's actually helping us with right now. Is it helping us with generating content? Of course it is. Like, how can I be on top of everything and know what's relevant to other people? Obviously, we want to produce content that is relevant to people so people actually watch it, consume it, and end up calling me. But yeah, we are leveraging AI for things like this. Are we leveraging AI to keep all of our contacts organized and making sure that we're on top of things? Are we leveraging AI when we have a house going through a transaction, right? Like, are we going to miss anything? Is there certain things that we could leverage AI for to send out reminders to our clients at the same time? So there's a lot of cool things that are happening in the background, and I think that these things are going to actually even get better. Right now, I'll give you an example. if we have a client that wants to see 5 houses, well, we take all 5 addresses, we put them into Google Maps, and we come up with a logical way of routing these things that actually make sense. I'm pretty sure now I could actually jam this into AI and it will basically just tell me, hey, this is the best way. And it could probably just even feed it directly to my client and put it into my calendar at the same time. So it's gonna make it a little bit more efficient for us to go through. But when it comes to actually signing on the line and feeling confident that this is the right decision that you're making, I don't think you're gonna replace me, so get used to me. I hope that this video was helpful for you guys, gives you guys a little bit more of an insight of why I think that AI won't replace a realtor, but you guys might have a different opinion about this, and I wanna hear about that. So if you guys feel that AI can replace a realtor, let me know. Like, I'm more than happy and interested in knowing what your comments are, so put them down below. Sometimes you don't wanna share these things, so send me a DM, set up a phone call. I have a link over here. More than happy to discuss technology around real estate with you guys. It might be an eye-opening experience for both of us when you guys reach out. So I encourage you guys to reach out. Let's have this conversation. Like this video, share it with your friends that think that AI is going to take over a realtor's job, because I want to get them riled up. So share it with them. Most importantly, subscribe. I think we have awesome content. It's authentic. It's what I'm experiencing that's out there. So subscribe so you can get the real deal on what's going on in real estate. Until next time, guys, remember one thing: get Cabani, get sold.
Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold. Sell it, sell it, sell it, sell it, sold.